Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm having some Bosun Cut Plug I got from Jesse. Thanks again, Jesse. I appreciate that. I'm having it in a church warden. It's a Genode, however it's pronounced. It's French. But I figure I'd give it a try. I've had it for a while. I haven't got around to it till just now. Initial couple puffs here. Has a taste that reminds me of candle wax. Old school candle wax, like beeswax. It could just be me though. It's not an off-putting flavor, but based off the smell from the bag, it's not what I expected. What I smell when I open this bag up, give it a good hard sniff. It reminds me a lot of male pouch tobacco, Red Man Chew, those kinds of things. It's got a sweet, earthy tone to it. If you've ever been around any of those tobaccos, you know what I'm talking about. But that's not what's coming through on the taste, at least not right now. Something there kind of flowery, floral maybe. I'm not sure what it is. Can't put my finger on it. Ain't bad. Taste changes while I'm making this video. I'll come back to you, let you know. So, figured talk about stuff that you typically see predominantly at night, because I spend a lot of time out at night. Matter of fact, most of my life I spent a lot of time out at night. So, things that you see out at night, on the lighter side, the simpler side, especially out here in the country, you get full view of the stars, moon, that type of thing. You can see more than if you were in town. And with that nice dark night sky, you get to see other things in plain view. For example, the area I live in is in one of the flight corridors for CVG, the Greater Cincinnati Airport. So, you see a lot of planes, the occasional helicopter. Also near here is a decommissioned military base, referred to as JPG, or the Jefferson Proving Ground. They decommissioned it back in '95, but they still run planes in and out of that place. They don't land there anymore. The runway is not in the best of shape. You can go see the old runway. They've opened up a portion of it to the public. They're using it for housing. They've got apartments set up that people are renting. But at night, you'll see military planes fly over, and you'll hear them touching off the guns. Most of the time, it's A-10s. And if you know what that sound is, it's unmistakable. But every once in a while, you'll see jets and choppers and stuff come over. Not too far from here is a training facility. It's called Muscatatuck Urban Training Facility, where they train police, law enforcement, military on urban environments. It used to be a mental institution for many, many years. And when they shut it down, I don't know, a long time ago now, probably 25 years ago, it said vacant, got a little overgrown. And then they converted it into this. And I've got buildings set up. They got a replica of a train wreck. They've got what would be like a farm situation in a third world country with the wooden poles tied together with wire for a paddock. We got a lot of cool stuff in there. If you want to know how I know, I went in the back gate one day on my motorcycle, out riding around. Didn't realize it was the back gate at the time, but I rode all through there and then went out the front gate. The whole time I'm riding through, there's a guy running around trying to catch me. Or maybe it was a couple guys, because if it was one guy on foot, he was fast. But you see a lot of helicopters go over there too. I make circles. And if you check the flight tracker, half this stuff doesn't show up. So it has to be military. Other things you see at night, and what started me making this video tonight, was shooting stars. I seen one on the way home. It had a nice long path through the sky. It didn't burn up quick, but it didn't have any sparkles or anything come off the butt. It was just a bright streak through the sky. It was up there for a good 5 or 6 seconds. It traveled a fair piece before it vanished. Twice in my life, I've seen shooting stars, meteorite, whatever you want to call it, lit up the night sky, bright, real bright. Once when I was back in my mid-20s, so you're talking early 2000s, I was on my way home from work. I got off work about midnight, 11:30, and it was green, lit up the whole night sky. It was bright enough that the trees were casting shadows and stuff. It was cool. I thought it was going to be a once in a lifetime thing. We'll never see it again. Well, jump ahead 15 years. I was on my way to work at the casino, and at that point I started at midnight, and 11:45 midnight, something like that. Anyway, I get about a mile from the parking lot where I got to pull in, and one goes across the sky, lights up everything, but it's blue this time, blue-white. It's bright, really, really, really bright. It was awesome. Left a nice sparkly trail behind it the whole way across. But it's those rare occasions that you get to see at night that people who spend all their time up in the daytime miss. Well, I'm not saying that missing these things are a bad thing, but they're very cool to see when you're out and about. There's a lot of stuff like that you only get to see at night. Like animals, there's some really odd animals you can see at night. Like around here, they're not common, but they're available and you can see them. And typically, it's at the end of the night, right at about sunup, at least in my experience, that you'll catch them. And that's bobcats. He'll just be cruising down, road and want to pop out of the weeds and just go across the road. The best sighting I ever had of a bobcat personally, and I've only seen 3 or 4. I'd gotten off work about 6 o'clock in the morning. I was working at the casino. And I was going down to see my dad at his place, and he lives out in the sticks. Lived out in the sticks, I should say. Anyway, popped down over the hill, and right at the bottom of the hill, there's a long driveway to the right, and a cow pasture on the left. A bobcat jumped out of the cow pasture, walked into the middle of the road, and just stood there and stared at me in the truck. I just leisurely walked up onto that long driveway, like not what's going on. There's probably a 30-second interaction, right about sun up. So it would have been 6:30, 7-ish. And once again, it's one of those things you don't commonly see in the daytime. But it's a very interesting animal that you don't commonly get to see. And then you got the weird stuff, the oddball stuff. So, when I was out riding my motorcycle, and I pulled off the side of the road, I'm going to have me a drink of water, and I was going to smoke a cigarette. And, man, I must pack this thing wrong. And I'm just sitting there minding my own business. It's 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, in the middle of nowhere, on some random back road. And I hear what sounds like footsteps. It's like, what the hell's that? And I sit there and I listen and I listen. I get my flashlight out of my pocket and I shine it up one way, I shine it up the other. I don't see nothing. Keep listening. And I'm parked at the entryway to a cornfield. It's a ditch with a culvert and gravel that goes 4 or 5 foot off the edge of the road so tractors can pull in and out of this field. So I sit there and I keep listening. I keep hearing the footsteps. Doot, doot, doot. Sounds like boots on asphalt. And I just keep listening. I keep listening. I keep hearing it over and over. And it just keeps coming. It keeps getting louder. And I'm just sitting there. And this goes on for 2-3 minutes. I hear this. And then out of the darkness, here comes some dude jogging with a backpack on. We're talking full-blown hiking pack. Big, heavy pack. He seen me. I seen him. He jumped, about come out of his skin. I guess he wasn't expecting to see anybody sitting out there in the middle of the night. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, stop to have a drink of water and a little bit of nicotine. He laughs. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm training to go on a big hike. It's like, way in the middle of the night. He's like, it's the only time I can come out. It's too hot in the daytime. Like, cool. Well, he just jogged off into the night. I don't know who he was, where he was going. And you come across the weird and the unusual every once in a while. One night, I went to work. On my way to work, I passed a guy who was walking. I went on to work. I was down there 2-3 hours. We were dead slow. They sent me home early. I was on my way back. It's now 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I drive my typical route on the way home. At that point in time, I was driving about 30-ish miles between work and home. So, I passed the guy 6 miles from work on the way in. On the way out, I passed the guy again, and he was about 15, 16, 17 miles from work. Mileage a little flexible there. I'm not 100% sure. But he'd traveled a fair piece. He had no backpack, no bottles, nothing. I pulled over. I'm like, hey, buddy, you need a ride? He's like, no. You need a phone call? No. And would you like a bottle of water? No, I'm fine. Sure, last chance. Yep, I'm good. I took off, and he continued to walk. It just struck me as odd. A guy out in the middle of the night, just hiking about, walking with no supplies, no kit, no bottles of water, nothing. And he'd been walking for 4 hours. But I'd say the most unusual one. I was off work. I'd been out riding all night. About 4:30 in the morning on a motorcycle. I went up to the local McDonald's, which opened at 4 at that point. It was pre-COVID. Grabbed me a sausage biscuit, cup of coffee, put her on the bike, scooted up to the courthouse, which is 3 blocks from McDonald's. It's a small town. But it is on the intersection of US 50 and 421. Which, if you know anything, 421 travels a great distance. It goes from somewhere in here in Indiana, up north, through Kentucky and on. It might even go further than northern Indiana, but anyway. I'm sitting in the courthouse 3-4 blocks from US 50 on a park bench, drinking my coffee, having a sausage biscuit, and this guy, he just comes strolling up out of nowhere, up on one of the side streets from the direction of US 50. And he was ragged. He'd been on the road for a while. Long hair, beard that looked like it had been through a hurricane, dirty coat, a small backpack. Wasn't a great big giant backpack, I guess medium-sized backpack. But it was a hiker style pack. And he pulled up, or walked up, sit down on the bench next to me. Goes, you got a light? Yeah, sure. I'll go get a lighter off the bike. I give it to him, and he lights up a cigarette. We sit there and have a little chit chat. I was like, where you coming from? He's like, well, I left somewhere up near Chicago. Oh, what do you mean somewhere near Chicago? He's like, well, I'm not sure if it was Gary or Chicago when I took off. Okay. So, it's like, where you going? It's like, I'm going to see my sister in Tennessee. I was like, how long you been on the road now? He's like, 7 or 8 days. I was like, you had any rides? He's like, I had a couple. It's like, that's cool. It's like, you're going to get you a bottle of water, a sandwich from McDonald's something? He's like, if you don't mind, I'd take a sandwich or two. I want to drink. Could you get me a Coke? It's like, sure. So I jump on the bike and I zip back up to McDonald's. I get him a couple sausage biscuits and a Coke. Come back. Give him the Coke and the sausage biscuits. We end up sitting there for 2-3 hours just shooting the shit. Talked about how he'd gotten a car wreck and screwed his back up. That's how he ended up homeless. He'd been homeless for 4 or 5 years. And finally his sister found a way to get a hold of him. She told him if he come to Tennessee, he could stay there, get back on his feet. When I left, I asked him if he needed anything else or wanted anything. And he said, nope. I was like, you want a couple bucks for getting some food later? He's like, no, I'll be fine. I'm like, all right, cool. So, around 6-ish, 6:30-ish, I jumped back on the bike and beat it off into the sunrise. Headed home. But it's the people that you find out at night that you're not expecting, because typically late at night, there aren't a whole lot of anybody out. Except dog walkers. For whatever reason, I see a lot of dog walkers out in the middle of the night. But go places, do things, see the weird and unusual occasionally, I guess. Oh, if anybody wonders, it's Coke Zero. So, back to this. It's got a little bit of tingle on the retro hail there. Whatever that floral flavor is getting stronger the further down I go. And that beeswax flavor is almost completely gone now. But that's about all I'm really getting out of this Bosun Cut Plug. It ain't bad. Wouldn't be one of my first choices, but it ain't bad. Alright, folks. I've kept you long enough. Remember, if you ain't having fun, you aren't doing it right. Happy smokes, and have a good night, everyone.